Back to my channel. I know it's been a while, but I promise that my hiatus was for a really good reason. Long story short, a couple of friends and I from grade school and high school for the past couple of years, almost a decade now, which is crazy to think about it because we hadn't kept in touch after high school, pulled together gifts for kids for the holidays. And this year we were able to do that for a big school here in Chicago, about 1,000 students. So we were able to find sponsors for all the kids. We got their wishes met and they got coats and hats and gloves, and it was epic. We did the drop off last week, and I'll hopefully put up a little video, but it gets a little tricky because of little kids, because they're minors, but it was an incredible experience, and we're already starting to think about what we're gonna do next year because this was crazy this year. But I wanted to get on here because it's the end of the year, and something that I know I need to do is to really start focusing on my finances again. But to really focus on my finances again, because I've kind of fallen off my path of really being stringent on how I'm spending my money and what I'm putting into savings. And that's not to say that I have deterred from having savings or from really focusing on how I'm spending, but I just haven't been really hardcore about it where I've got this much to budget for and that's all you can spend and the rest goes to savings or student loans. But something that people have been bringing up, because now we're all thinking about our goals again, is who is going to be focusing on finances. And I feel like women in general, and I'm not stereotyping, but I'm putting like a big blanket, we don't talk about money enough. And it's not because we're not making money, it's not because we haven't worked hard, it's not because we don't control the finances in our household. In fact, I feel like, oh, my cat wants to be involved in this conversation. I feel like a lot of women are the gatekeepers of the checkbook, or, you know, I guess checks are kind of outdated, but sending out the bills on time. And so, we're gonna get a little visitor over here, sorry. So I really wanted to focus this year, which is something I wanted to do last year, or this year, going into the new year. Oh boy, seriously, Charlie? Dude, just sit down. Sit down. Lie down. Oh boy, lie down. Good job, buddy. Okay, we're gonna get a little buddy here. I started those conversations already on this channel a little bit, getting people geared up on how to get started, but I realized, because someone just asked me, they never really talked about the Dave Ramsey method that I am following in my own kind of way, but it's pretty much a Dave Ramsey method, and did learn it from Jen Dufour, who I've spoken about before in one of my previous videos. So definitely go check her out. I learned some tricks and trades from her. I'm gonna set up my financial planner based on the way that she just shared, because I think it fits the way my brain works, and it's gonna be great. But I did want to talk through what the Dave Ramsey steps are so that people who might not be familiar with the process can kind of get an idea of how it works. And so I pulled out my big bullet journal that I set up for this. And I had it opened, except that Charlie came on board. And so Dave Ramsey has what's called 7 baby steps. And so you start at 1 and you go through all the way to baby step 7. And that's when hopefully you have reached your financial freedom, your wealth building state. And so I'm just gonna quickly go through these, and I will talk through some of the things that are recommended to reach these steps in future videos. But I wanted people to get an idea so they can start thinking about what they want to do to take control of their finances. This topic is really important for me because I had not been really good about taking care of my finances, and I had a good job, I had a good salary, but I was spending like crazy, not paying attention to what was going out versus what I was spending, how much I was spending on certain things. And this process really helped me evaluate and look at how I spend so that I'm a little bit more aware of where I'm doing some unnecessary spending, which is in a lot of places, but it really gave me the weight of that spending so that I could kind of say, hey, I get it, you work hard, you want to reward yourself, this stuff makes you happy, but you don't need to spend this percentage of your salary on it a year. you can scale that down. You can cut that in half easily and still be happy. So that's the kind of stuff that I really hope that will come to light. I'm really privileged that I had already been working on my finances for a while, that I had actually gotten to the point where the only debt that I have left is my student loans. And that's not small, but I used to have student loans plus a ton of credit card debt. Now I don't have any credit cards, which thank you, Lord, because that was killing me. I was making some terrible choices, spending terribly, and then getting hit with late fees and having to skip payments because I just couldn't afford it. I wasn't managing my money right. So this method really kind of helped hone in what I had already started. So I know that I kind of started at a place that a lot of people may not be at yet, but at least it'll help you kind of get an idea of where you are and how to start the process. And it's going to take a while. I mean, it took me probably 10 years to get out of credit card debt. And that was without having this process. And I had a lot of credit card debt. So just saying, don't be discouraged if it feels like this stuff is impossible. The trick is to just get started. And so Dave Ramsey has a couple of books out. I read The Total Money Makeover. And I wouldn't say that that's the book that walks you through all the steps, but it kind of gives you an idea of his philosophy. I guess there's another curriculum that you could take called Financial Peace University or something like that, which goes through these steps. I thankfully, in a planner group, was able to take part in a budgeting class where someone kind of walked you through the philosophies, how to do it, gave her own advice, gave you some other resources, and that is Gen 4, and it was amazing. And I feel like it changed the way that I look at how I budget. It made me create a budget. I didn't have a budget, and it's really made me think about how to do some more long-term financial planning. So this is all a long-winded way of saying, let me walk you through the 7 baby steps so that you can see where I'm going to go with this. So baby step number 1 that he says is to have a $1,000 emergency fund. This is a fund that you do not touch unless you absolutely need to have it. This isn't a fund that you dip in when you've overspent and you need, money for rent, because you should be planning for your rent. This is money that, there's a fire, someone gets laid off, that's when you dip into this fund, if I'm understanding it entirely correctly. But $1,000, and a lot of people may not have that if they're in big debt, because I didn't. So I know that the big thing that they say at first is to do everything you can to create this $1,000 emergency fund. So that means sell things, do a side hustle, come up with a way, get an extra part-time job, but reach that $1,000 and get it in your funds. So that's step number 1. And if you can reach that quickly, awesome. If you have it, fantastic. You're in a better place. You can move on to step number 2, which I am still in. So I have already said I was in a lucky place. I only have 1 debt, but I'm only on baby step number 2. So I am nowhere near the end of this process. Number 2, baby step number 2 is to pay off all your debt using the snowball method. What's a snowball method? So this is a philosophy where you write down everything that you owe. So all your credit cards, student loans, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you might owe money on. Money you borrowed, I don't know. So things that you owe money to, especially things that may have interest on it. And you rank them from smallest balance to the biggest balance. And the trick here is you pay the smallest balance. You throw everything you can to the smallest balance. So let's say I had a credit card balance of $500, one for $2,000, and then my student loans, which are at $50,000. Okay, so I had a lot more credit cards than that, but I just want to keep the math simple in my head. So he says, pay the minimum on your 2 big ones. So I would pay the minimum on my student loans and on my $2,000 credit card, but then I would try and throw everything that I could at the $200 balance. So let's say that minimum was $20 a month. If I'm really focusing on my budget and oh boy, sorry. Kitty cat intermission. So you throw everything that you can into that small credit card. So let's say the minimum balance is 20 bucks a month. Let's say I'm a crafter, so I was able to go to a craft show and I made $100 more than I've ever had, that I didn't have that month, right? It wasn't expected income. Rather than putting that money anywhere else, because I already have my $1,000 emergency fund, I'm gonna throw that at that credit card. So now it'll be $120 that I'm paying. So that would mean that I only have $80-ish. Obviously there's interest and stuff that you pay left for the following month. The following month, again, I have, let's say, $90 with interest that I have left on that credit card. I'm able to pay $40. You throw that there so you get that down so you can pay it off as soon as possible. So let's say it paid off in 3 months. Well, I was used to paying, because I have a budget, $20 for that credit card. Well, now I'm going to pretend like I'm still owing that money, but I'm going to apply that balance due to that $2,000 credit card. So let's say that credit card used to have a regular minimum balance of 50 bucks. I'm now going to be sending $70. So you're not saying like, yay, I'm done with one credit card, I have one less minimum payment to do. No, the goal is to throw that extra 20 bucks into the next credit card, and you keep snowballing it down until you're at that last student loan balance, which was at the 50,000. So that's the snowball method, and so you do that till you pay off all your debt. Because I came in a different place where the only debt I have is my student loans, I made a goal to try and send double the amount that I can of my minimum balance every month so that it covers my interest. I'm not always successful, but that has been my goal this year, and it's helped out a lot. I've actually seen my balance go down, which I didn't see before because I was paying the minimum balance, but there's interest and that just adds on, and then it goes nowhere. So I'm excited to see the student loan balance go down. Baby step number 3 then is to focus on having 3 to 9 months of living expenses in your savings account. So this is different than your emergency fund, if you can make that happen. And some people do this to save for like a home down payment. Because I had lost my job 2 years ago, have been kind of trying to do baby step 2 and baby step 3 at the same time. It's not really working, but at least I have savings, and I have had moments where it's like unexpected expenses, but I've had money set aside, which is a good thing, and I've not touched my emergency fund. Then you move into baby step number 4, where he talks about investing 15% of your income. So this is after you've paid off all your debt, you have your emergency fund, you have your 3 to 9 months of living expenses. Now you're completely debt free, you've got your savings. Now it's time to focus on retirement. And so he recommends investing about 15% of your income in a Roth IRA and then your pre-tax retirement plans. And that one is really, Roth IRAs are dependent on your income. So a lot of people do qualify, some don't, because it depends on single versus married, 2-person household if you're married. So basically he's telling you throw in money into that, because that is going to be what you're going to live off of in the future. Number 5, focus on a college fund if that applies to your family. Number 6, then work on paying off your home early. And I never got to these steps. I haven't gotten there yet. So I can't really go into detail. I just want to go through these because I'm not at the point where I'm investing 15% of my income into retirement, because I still don't have 3 to 9 months of savings. I don't have any kids, so college fund doesn't really apply to me. I don't own a home. So some of these steps, this is why I'm just kind of talking about them, may not apply to you, but they're good principles to know so that if you do get to that point, you can start thinking them through. And I would probably have to refer you to other people if you're at those stages, because I'm not. And number 7, the last step, is just build your wealth. So that's investments, that's retirements, that's build your wealth and give. So if you want to give to charity, with churches, with your tithe. So that's kind of the overarching picture. I feel like a lot of people, when they're first starting, are really focused on steps 1 through 3. So building an emergency fund, figuring out how to pay off your debt, and then really focusing on some savings in case you need them to live off of for a while. So if you get laid off, if there is an injury, an illness. So those are kind of the three that I want to focus on for a while. Talk through some of my own struggles, help people build budgets, you know, be honest about it, because I was really good at the beginning of the year and then I kind of fell off, and I know that my numbers are not going to be where I wanted them to be, but I really want to focus my next year on getting those numbers where I need them to be, because I'm not young. You can see this gray hair happening here. I'm not married, so I don't have anybody else to help pay living expenses. Maybe one day I will have someone, but I don't know. I can't bank on that. And I think as a woman, I need to pretend like that may never happen for me, because I need to be able to feel empowered with my money and be able to tell it where to go and how to work for me. So that is just all I really wanted to talk about really quickly. I hope that it isn't too overwhelming, but just keep an eye out. I will start doing videos where I'm gonna put the camera screen down and we'll go through budgeting and talk about sinking funds and all that stuff that you probably have no idea what I'm talking about if you haven't seen the other two videos, but they are the key concepts that have really helped me figure out how to start actually saving this year. So hopefully you'll join me, and please leave any comments, questions below, and I will try and answer them. If not, I promise I will find a resource for you, because as I've said before, I am no expert. I am just sharing my journey, and I'm hoping that it's useful to you. Thanks.